Okay, here is a typical carburetor for a gy6 engine. So that would be your intake. This would be where it connects to the airbox. You have your electric choke right here. Throttle cable goes there. Idle set screw right there. It's pretty easy. What you're going to want to do to clean it, remove these 4 screws. Once you get these screws loose, pretty much pull it off. See right here is your main jet. In this case it's a 105. You can't really see it right now, but I'll show that to you later. And down in there is going to be your low idle jet. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to check and make sure that there's no gummy deposits in here. You know, that your floats are working just fine. But we're going to take these out, make sure that they're clear and that you can see through them, and clean them out, okay?
It's actually called the blur.
What you want to do is you want to take it out. Here's your emulsion tube right here. This thing right there. Can't really see it that well. This thing right there is the jet. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to separate that from the emulsion tube. Okay, here we go. I don't know whether you can see through it or not. There, you can kind of see through it. See? And that's what we want to see, is we want to be able to see through it. Same thing with the emulsion tube. You can see through that pretty easy. There are little holes running right through there, and you're just going to want to visually check and make sure that the holes are clear. All the passageways are clean. And that's what you're going to want to look for. Any kind of clogs, anything like that, you're going to want to take care of it. But be gentle, be careful. Any small adjustments make a huge difference every time you're in the carburetor. Put it back in and tighten it up to about what it was. It's a snug fit, but you don't want to over tighten it. And the same thing with the that low idle jet. You're gonna want to back that thing out. And same thing with this one. You're gonna want to double check and make sure that your passageway is clean. The low idle jet, you're gonna have a very small passageway. Be careful anytime you put anything down in there, as the hole is a very tiny hole, and any kind of difference that you make to it is going to dramatically increase your carburation. Typically, what I would suggest is a carb cleaner spray and compressed air to clean out the jet. You have the same thing with the holes right there. You want to make sure that these holes. A little trouble seeing it, maybe right there. You're going to want to make sure that these holes are also clean, and that there's no debris or anything else like that. What we're going to do is we're going to put that back in there. And again, you're just going to want to snug it down. You don't want to over tighten it. Right there. Double check this one's tight. Right there. Now this right here is going to be how you're going to adjust the float level. What happens is when this thing raises and lowers, that right there has a needle inside, and it controls how much fuel is in the float pool. To adjust that, what you would do is you would pull up or down on this little tab depending on depending on your need. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this apart so that you can see exactly what's going on inside of there. Let me see if I can't knock that out.
So you're like, okay, but I have $200,000 wrapped up in a container that's coming in right now, and you want me to put how much now?
That's the pin that holds the arm in place. But you see, you will see this little needle, and that's what actually, when this raises and lowers, what this needle does is it closes and opens a valve that allows fuel in and out. What you would want to do is put that back on there. Now if you wanted to lower the fuel level inside the floats, what you would do is you would push this thing down, this little tab right there, down. And what that would do is when this thing is empty, it'll be wide open, but it'll close up as this thing is halfway full. Now the opposite goes true. If you wanted to raise the fuel level and allow more fuel on the inside, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to push this tab upwards. And what that is going to do is that it's going to allow more fuel in there and allow for a better acceleration. The carburation, you'll have issues with the carburetor if the fuel level is off. Pretty easy though. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to be very, very careful as small adjustments make dramatic differences inside the carburation. Again, so do things small, and you should be okay. If you don't know what you're doing, it's always best to talk to a friend, a buddy, mechanic, something like that, who would be able to take care of it. But if you want to take care of it yourself, that's what this is for. So let me go ahead and put this back in. Just goes right in, and stick this arm through. Now, not all carburetors you can actually pull this apart this easily. So there are going to be some kind of differences from carburetor to carburetor, but they're all pretty much the same. Not a whole lot of difference. I've checked the inside. We're clear as far as gummy deposits or any residues left in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and close this back up, and we'll take a look at the top side. Alright, so now that I've tightened up the float bowl, just double check. I always do things in a cross pattern. Just double check and make sure everything's tight. What we're going to do is we're going to switch up top. Now there's only going to be 2 screws. One's going to be right there. The other is hidden right underneath there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back these off. I'm going to open it up, okay? Now I like to hold the top down because there is a spring on the inside, and we don't want to lose pieces anywhere. So just gonna pack this off. That one's free. That one's also free. So what I'm gonna do, open this up very gently. Now right on the inside there's a screen. Nothing on top. Pretty basic. Spring. Diaphragm. Down in there is going to be the main jet, the main needle. So we have the main needle. What I do is I just go over it with my fingers. I take off any kind of debris. You can take some carb cleaner. It's always best when you're working with near a diaphragm or anything like that, but you take some gasoline, maybe clean off the diaphragm with gasoline, as well as the needle. As carb cleaner is very it's very harmful to rubber pieces, and pretty much that's all we have up here is rubber and plastic, and we don't want to make any kind of damage. We don't want to do any kind of damage to it at all. But pretty basic. Check the diaphragms for rips or anything like that. What you're going to want to do is when you're putting it back together, you see that right there is a corresponding position right in there. So what we want to do is we want to line that up together. We want to get this needle going down into that tube right there. Just so you can see the needle going in. It's going in. Let's position the dam. Alright, now we're right there. We want to make sure that we have a good seal going all the way around. Might be some kind of finagling to get the rubber diaphragm to get in position. You want it to look like this, but they're not too difficult. You might just have to deal with it a little bit. But here it is, the spring. We're going in with the spring, and put the spring center of that. Just gonna push down, hold it by hand, and just tighten things up. Now I don't like to tighten anything up until I have both screws in. I don't want any kind of problems to occur from tightening up one side versus the other. I want to make sure that the diaphragm has a good seal up top. And that's pretty much what it takes to clean a carburetor. Now if there are any kind of gummy deposits in there, you are going to want to check every single pathway. Carb cleaner is going to work great down at the bottom. And to repeat again, anytime you're working near the diaphragm or any kind of rubber piece, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to clean it with gasoline, as carb cleaner is dangerous to rubber, or not dangerous, but harmful to rubber and plastics. So, and that's pretty much it.